We're on the import page here, and we're just going to have a look at the difference between the new absence list import and the old weekly attendance import. So the weekly attendance import was the first one we built. That was based on an ID Attend import. So you would do a weekly file for the whole year, so from week 1 to week 40, and you would drop those files in there. You could do multiples at a time, but each of the files needed to be separated out into the different weeks. Another important part to notice here is you would actually need to ensure that all of your cohorts are in a single file, so don't split up different sections of your school with those before you import them. Another thing we found was that schools were needing to go back and overwrite previous imports as changes were applied after the fact, errors were fixed and things like that. So this was basically a really time-consuming way of doing the weekly attendance import. So as a result, we added the absence list import. The absence list import is based on the One School official absences record. We're converting all of the absence codes into half-day or full-day absences, following the same rules that One School does. So one of the big advantages for this import is it will always match the official record from One School. A disadvantage is it's in half-day increments, so you end up with less granular information than you do from ID Attend, but it will match your official record. So in a lot of cases, that's the preferred outcome. Another advantage of this is it's a single file for the entire year to date. So with that, you can just drop in the one file, and it will import all of the year up to that point in time as well. You can actually tell it to just import the last few weeks if you want. So throughout the term, you might import this every week, just overriding the last 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And then maybe at the end of the term, you might do another import for the whole term at once, so overriding 10 weeks of information, and that will correct any changes that were made after the fact. So with that absence list import, there's a couple of things that you need to do before you start using it, especially if you have been using the ID Attend import in the past. So if it's a brand new year, all you'd need to do is untick this ID Attend user in the settings area here, and that will now be set ready for the absence list import. You also need to set the date of your local show holiday, so that has to be done once a year. If you have already done imports using ID Attend and you're wanting to change to the weekly attendance view, you can do in the utilities an attendance cleanup before you start, and that'll just wipe out the old data set for the year so that you have a clean slate for the new import that you're wanting to do. Okay, so now you're all set up, ready to do an absence list import. There's a couple of imports that you might want to do first then as well. So there's the dynamic student list, and that's used because we add the enrollment dates for new students and also the departed student list. So you should make sure that both of those, the dynamic list and the departed list, are done before you do your absence list import. So yes, you're importing 3 separate files each time, but at least you're not doing weekly files for the whole year to date. And it doesn't mean you have to do this import every week, but some schools do that, so they've got that weekly attendance data up to date all of the time. So that's the main differences between the absence list import and the weekly attendance import. We have had a lot of schools have moved across to the absence list import because it is a lot easier to use and provides that up-to-date information that matches the official record.